So what are some added expenses you can expect to pay if you decide to buy a home in Manatee or Sarasota County or really anywhere in Southwest Florida? We're going to talk about those expenses because they're not discussed a whole lot. We're going to cover them today, so stay tuned. Neighbors, Catherine Newman, I'm a local real estate agent with Allison James Estates and Homes in the Manatee and Sarasota County areas and beyond, and specifically in my hometown of Parrish, Florida. And today I want to go over with you a few things that you might not know about being added expenses if you decide to buy a home in these regions. But before I do that, I'd love for you to subscribe to this YouTube channel and make sure you like this video so I can keep this information coming to you. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I hope you get some benefit out of it. Let's start. Added expense number one, flood insurance. Now, I know most of you already know that pretty much the entire peninsula of Florida is a flood zone, and when you purchase a home in any county, as far as I know, you might be required to have flood insurance policy to go along with your homeowner's policy because they are different policies. So what builders typically do for new developments is they will come into a land that probably is a flood zone. They will bring dirt in and they'll elevate that piece of land so that it's no longer in a flood zone. However, that's not the case with every new community. So what's interesting about flood insurance is that you could live in a home. Let's say you have a mortgage on your home, meaning you didn't use cash to buy it, you mortgaged it, and your zone is an X zone. Now, with an X zone, for those of you that don't want to pay for flood insurance, that's the kind of house and lot that you're looking for, an X zone. But let's say that your home is in flood zone X, which is like our house. We don't have to have flood insurance, but your neighbor's house 2 doors down across the street or whatever might be an AE zone, which means that for the most part, the house itself could be elevated above flood elevation. However, the backyard or maybe a portion of the yard is considered in a flood zone. So you would be required to have flood insurance. So I'm going to put in the links below the link to the FEMA flood mapping system website so that you can put an address in and you can check out what kind of flood zone it has. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these new developments here, they don't have addresses in them yet, right? Because they're just now developing them. So when you go in to look, say at a new section of Summer Woods here in Parrish, or maybe a section over in Lakewood Ranch, you might not see that individual address because it's just one big piece of property. Keep in mind that maybe it shows a flood zone now, but once the developer is finished developing and elevating that property, it could become an X zone. And if you have any questions about which areas might or might not be a flood zone, just give me a call. I'll be happy to look that up for you, talk to whatever developer it is on a new construction home to see if they're going to elevate it enough to get rid of an AE zone and provide you with an X zone where you don't have to have a flood insurance policy when you close on that house. Now, there's also a rumor going around, and I've heard it from you guys who called me from my YouTube channel saying, we heard that all of Florida now is going to be required to carry flood insurance policies on their homes. That is not true. That new legislation is for people that currently are policyholders with the state-backed Citizens Insurance. So if you have a policy with Citizens Insurance, you will be required, and they're going to phase it into certain years and when everybody's required to have it. But eventually, everyone with that company, Citizens, which is a state-backed company here in Florida, you will be required to have flood insurance. That is not for the private sector. So again, here's a recap on that rule about Citizens policyholders.
Mark Freelander from the Insurance Information Institute explains the potential new requirements even if you don't live in a flood zone for citizen policyholders.
The provisions of the bill indicate that citizens policyholders must purchase flood insurance on par with the National Flood Insurance Program. That's the FEMA-backed NFIP.
The proposed legislation intends to drive people off Citizens at renewal time for current policyholders. Freelander says they would need to seek quotes from the private market. The policyholder must switch to the other insurer if the premium is within 20% of the Citizens' estimated rate.
So don't be freaked out. Not everybody's going to have a flood insurance policy, even if you're in an X zone. That is not the case. You just heard it. You heard it right here. So how much do flood insurance policies cost? That's a great question. And it all depends on something called an elevation certificate. It's typically done with a survey when you're buying a house. It'll tell them what the elevation is, and they use that certificate at the flood insurance company, whether it's private or Citizens. They're going to use that elevation certificate to determine what the yearly amount is for that policy. Now, I've seen people in an AE zone that have policies as low as $500 a year. Not a big deal, right? And I've seen people buying townhomes, maybe up in Clearwater or maybe in Lakewood Ranch, in an AE zone where those policies were $1,100 a year. So it just depends on the property itself. Now, if you're buying a property close to the coastline and it's in a V or VEU or whatever kind of zone it is, then yes, you're going to be paying all kinds of money for a flood insurance policy. But I mean, most of those people buying those policies, that's just nothing. That's pocket change, right?
Money, money, must be funny in a rich man's world.
Added expense for homeowners in Florida. Number 2, pest control. Again, you probably have pest control where you live in Jersey, or maybe you live in Chicago or Colorado or Tennessee. You probably have pest control companies anyway. However, when you move to Florida, you've heard me talk about it before, you are gonna have some crazy little critters running around in your home. So you want to make sure you have a yearly pest control policy that takes care of those things. Currently, we have a policy for pest control. They come out 4 times a year, but then they also come anytime I see something. So if I wake up one morning and I see some nasty little critter I don't like, which is always going to happen, right? I call my bug guy and I'm like, hey, Robert, would you come over here? I've noticed some wasps coming out of the vent in my bathroom, or I've noticed those little roly-polies on my floor. He sends someone out within a day or so, sometimes the same day, and they take care of it. I don't have to pay extra for that. That's included with my yearly cost for pest control, and I think we're paying about $275 right now for that. Now, another part of pest control that you might want to consider is that you get a yearly termite contract with your pest control company. It's a separate payment than what you would offer for just pest control for the year. The termite, of course, is to make sure that if they found any termite damage anywhere or any active termites coming in, that you have an insurance policy to cover any of those damages. We certainly have that because, hey, it's Florida. I'm freaked out about termites. We pay $250 for that policy per year. Added expenses for homeowners, number 3, dryer vent cleaning. Now, living in Colorado, I don't think we ever cleaned out our dryer vent. If we did, we just maybe stuck a vacuum up there ourselves. I don't think we ever professionally had that done. But in Florida, it's an issue because think about the humidity, think about the moisture, especially in our summer months when it is our rainy season and you have all of that lint up the dryer, and a lot of these vents vent out on top of the house. So it has to go a certain way to get there. And because of the humidity and the moisture, a lot of times that lint gets blocked up in there, clogged up in that colon of a duct tube.
I think I do remember hearing something on TV about colon cleansing. They say everyone should have one. I'm thinking about getting me an appointment and go down and getting my colon cleansed thoroughly.
And of course, when that gets clogged up, what does that do? Well, it makes your dryer take longer for your clothes to dry, which means you take longer, you click it up to another 30 minutes and you're wasting energy, you're spending more money on your electricity bill. So it is kind of important to get that cleaned out. Another reason is it's a major fire hazard to have that much stuff in that dryer vent. And there have been people who have had fires because of too much lint being in those vents. So it's very important to get that done. We have it done, and you should have it done about, I think we're doing it once every 2 years. Added expense number 4, power washing. Power washing is definitely needed here because we have so much algae growing and mold and just dirt and grime and that sort of thing. And if you live in an HOA, a lot of your HOAs will require you to power wash your sidewalk in front of your home, your driveway, your houses. Sometimes they even ask you to make sure you wash your roof. Now, I don't recommend you using a power washer on your roof, but a lot of HOAs will require to make sure that your roofs are clean as well. There's also power washing of your pool deck if you have a pool, if you have pavers anywhere outside. A lot of times they'll pressure wash your pool cage to make sure that it's getting off all the gross stuff that happens up there. Lots of spiders like to get on the pool cage. The other issue we have here is pollen. It's heavy green pollen, people. It gets all over your outdoor furniture, all over your pool screen. It gets into your pool. So you definitely want to make sure that you're power washing every few months just to make sure things stay fresh and clean and that algae and mold doesn't grow. Now, if power washing ain't your thing, you can always hire a company to come out and do some pressure cleaning for you, power washing for you. It varies from company to company of how much it costs depending on what you need done. If you want your whole house and you want your driveway and your sidewalks and your pool cage and your pool decking and that sort of thing, it's going to be a different fee than if you just need to have your sidewalks and your driveway done. And a lot of us just buy our own pressure cleaner, our own power washing equipment, and we do it ourselves. Added expense number 5, backflow testing device. Now this little device here that you see is a backflow testing device, and really it's there to maintain your clean water that comes to your home, your potable water, and make sure that it doesn't flow in the wrong direction and cause contamination in your plumbing into your home. Now, this is not something that we ever saw in Colorado, so knowing that we had to have this done every year to have it tested was something that was new to us. So I just want you to be aware of it. Now, what they do is they come in and they mess with the valves and they do some pressure testing to make sure everything's flowing the right direction, and then they're going to tag it, and that tells the county that that device is working properly. The county will typically send you a reminder every year saying it's time for your backflow device testing. And of course, whoever did it before, whatever plumbing company did it before, is also going to send you a reminder because they want you to call them again. And I think that we're paying about $49 a year. I think it went up from $39 to $49 this year. So $50 a year, you're going to get that backflow device tested to make sure you don't have any contamination coming into your pipes in your house.
Plumbers, we fix leaks.
Added expense number 6, twice yearly HVAC tune-ups. Now, if you have an air conditioning, central air conditioning system, wherever you live now in whatever state, you already have someone, I hope, coming in at least once a year to make sure that everything's working properly, the filters are cleaned, that there's no air leaks, blah, blah, blah. When you live in Florida, because we run these bad boys all the time, we run them year round. Our AC is running all the time. I think in a year, we probably had our heat on maybe 12 days out of the year. And we never ran heat all day long, even when we had a very cold Christmas this past Christmas, and the temperatures were in 20s and 30s, we still had the heat on only at night. We didn't have it on during the day. So because the AC systems run so often, it's really a good idea to make sure you have your HVAC. People come in, check them, make sure everything's working correctly. And there are plans that you can get on. They'll give you a 4-year plan or a 5-year plan or whatever. I think we typically pay about $80 a visit for someone to come out and make sure that everything's running smoothly. Added expense number 7, a surge protector. Now, surge protectors are a little electronic device that helps to protect the devices that are plugged into your outlets in your computer, your TVs, any kind of other equipment, your refrigerator, your appliances, everything that's plugged in. These devices protect them from voltage surges. So when there's a surge in voltage into your house, and it happens a lot out here, guys, you want to make sure that you have that surge protector in the main panel. Now that surge protector is going to redirect that extra energy into the ground wire and keep it away from damaging your important things. Again, like if it were to damage my computer, yeah, that would not be good. And for a lot of people, it's probably, well, don't damage my TV. So you definitely want to have surge protection. Now, whoever you use for your electricity, there's Florida Power and Light, we have Peace River. They offer surge protection that they put on your main panel, and you pay a little monthly fee. A lot of people do it that way, and that's fine. It's convenient. They do it for you. We just bought a surge protector and we put it in our box, so that's how we roll. But whatever your decision is when you buy your own home, just make sure that you're doing that to protect all of your electronic devices. Added expense number 8, large palm tree trimming. Now, a lot of people already come into Florida knowing there's going to be a lot of yard work, and there is, because it is the endless summer state. You always have something growing. You always have to cut the grass and mulch and pull weeds and all that fun stuff that none of us like to do. That's why so many people maybe purchase a home in a maintenance-free community where the HOA takes care of that. Of course, you pay for it, but they take care of that for you. Or you can hire your own landscaping company and they come out and take care of those issues for you also on a weekly basis, and sometimes twice a week during the summer. But when it comes to tree trimming, that is not done typically by your landscaping company. Now, they might trim your little areca palms or your pygmy date palms, but when you have large 30 feet and above palm trees, which it doesn't take long for them to grow that way, it's very difficult for you yourself and very dangerous to get up there and try to trim all of the dead palm fronds that fall from those trees eventually. It could damage your roof, it could damage your car, it could damage someone's head. So after about 7 or 8 years in the home that we're in, we've been here 9 years now, our Washingtonian palm trees got so tall, they're about 35 feet tall out there. And so we started having to hire someone to come do that because it's just too dangerous to get up there. And watching them do that is also kind of freaky, so I don't watch. However, there are certain ways to do it. Maybe they get a bucket to go up there. There's also these spiky shoes they wear, and they shimmy themselves up. Whew, yeah, that's crazy. And after a while, we were having someone cut those branches down, sometimes 3 times a year. So we were paying a few $100s 2 or 3 times a year to get those trees looking healthy again so they could continue to grow. Just be aware that you might have to have some long-term maintenance on your palm trees. Added expense number 9. If you have your own private pool, then of course you're going to have pool maintenance, which is an added expense. And it's going to be different than maybe if you have a pool where you live now in another state where you cover your pool for the winter and fall months and you only get to use it a few months out of the year. Here in Florida, We basically use our pools year round. Some people have heaters on their pools. They even provide cooling elements for pools. I just sold a house over in Terracea Island, and they had a heater and a cooler on their pool, which I didn't even know that was a thing, a cooler, but they did. And of course, we use our pools all year round. In order to do so and use them all year round, you're gonna need regular pool maintenance. So pool maintenance kind of scares some people away. They think it's just way too much. However, we don't find that it's that big of a deal. Of course, I shouldn't say we, because me don't do it. My husband does it. So I can't say we, but he doesn't seem to mind doing it. We do have an electronic, a robo vacuum that does all of the vacuuming for us. But he does all of the chemicals and mixes that and makes sure that everything is the pH balance and all that sort of thing is right in the pool so we can use it. And he keeps it really nice. So I'm really proud of you. Proud of you, Teddy. Proud of you. Now, pool supplies, pool chemicals and that sort of thing can sometimes be kind of expensive. Now, I don't know if you remember, but during COVID, man, you couldn't find chlorine for your pool. And when you did, you were paying way out of what it should have been cost to purchase it. So now the prices have settled down because they're making chlorine again for pools. But just make sure you understand that there are going to be some added expenses. A lot of people hire a pool company to come out and do their weekly maintenance.
Hey, Miss Handler, I found a dead squirrel in your pool.
They're going to check the pool pump and the filters. They'll check the chemicals and the pH balance, and they'll clean it and brush it and just make sure that everything is working well. And that typically ranges between, I don't know, about $90 to $125 a month, depending on your type of pool, whether it's a saltwater pool or a chlorine pool, whether it is a really huge pool or a small pool. So if you don't want to take care of a pool, you just hire a company to do it. Simple. I hope these things have helped for you to know a few little added expenses, things you might not think about when you're buying a home in Southwest Florida. And I appreciate you putting up with me today. I haven't been feeling very well, so I know I was a little scattered. I appreciate you listening, and I'd love for you to like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel so I can keep some more videos coming out. I'll try to feel better for the next video. If you guys have any questions, give me a call. I'd be so honored to speak with you. I talk to so many of you that watch this YouTube channel. That's just such a blessing to me. I enjoy getting to know you. A lot of you are coming out. Man, we've had some great visits, haven't we? So keep those calls coming. I look forward to meeting with you. And if you have any questions about the markets here, again, just give me a ring. I'm Catherine Newman. I will see you next time.